I mean, going over fire, that was pretty intense.
What? No, you hang up first.
No, you pod first.
No, you pod first.
No, you pod. Hey everyone, and welcome to The Inside, a podcast where we get into the extraordinary minds and experiences of everyday people. I'm Jay, and with me as always is Adam. Hey Adam, how's it going, eh?
Pretty good, man. I've actually been doing some work for the pod, doing some marketing research, just kind of looking for some new ways to get the word out about The Inside. Like, I'm thinking about...
Oh, man, what about keychains?
Ooh, I like that. Or like T-shirts or something.
Oh, or maybe something like really unusual, because those keychains and T-shirts, like that's, pretty common. But like, what if we did something like, I don't know, like blankets or like, like those printed socks? Like people are doing custom printed socks now. Oh, wait.
Like
how about, this would be really great. What about like underwear? Like the Inside Podcast underwear.
Insider underwear.
I mean, can't you just see it next time you're in the gym, like after a hard workout, or you've been like b-balling with the guys, and like you're in the locker room and they just notice your inside underwear, right? And then that would just totally open the door for a conversation about the podcast. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think that would be really fun in the gym.
That was a very creative and unique option. But what about something a little more concrete, like a book?
What's wrong with the underwear?
I'm just saying it doesn't have the mass appeal I'm looking for, but a book does.
Well, I guess. I mean, maybe not as many people see like your underwear as they do mine or something, right? So like no you wouldn't like. Okay. I think a book would get the word out. How about this for a title? The Inside Stuff About People You'll Never Know.
Got anything else?
How about Getting Inside, a book about nothing with Jay and Adam?
What about Jay and Adam and the Insider or Stone? Do.
Don't you mean Jay and Harry Potter?
No, but that did remind me that we do know some other podcasters that just put out a book. Our best friends over at Stuff You Should Know, Josh and Chuck.
Josh and Chuck, yeah.
Yeah.
I love those guys. I was just hanging out. No, just kidding. I mean, but I don't know. I think they just have a few more streams than us.
So we're only a little bit apart. We're around 70 streams a month, and they're around 30 million. So
hey, we're both under the 50 million category. So where's our book?
We do need to get on that. Although I'm sure it does take a lot of work to write and publish one of those.
I don't think so. Like I heard it's like just like this thing we do. You just like plug in and go. Like not much work. No, you don't think, like there's no forethought or anything. Like we just get on here and start recording stuff.
Yeah, basically no script writing, no interviewing or anything.
And I bet Josh and Chuck, like I bet they had someone even write it for them. So there's no work at all for them. Like they probably don't even know they have a book out.
Yeah. But that whole process, we talked about the book, but I don't even know where we would start with writing.
Oh, wait. I actually know someone who just wrote and published a children's book.
You do?
Uh-huh. Her name's Danielle, and her book it's really cool. It's helping kids and families that are dealing with all kinds of health issues and other things that can really disrupt somebody's life, and it's based off of some real experiences that she had. Yeah,
so that might be like a helpful inside way for us to get information on how easy it is to write a book. So what about this? Let's get off here. We'll have a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll hear all about Danielle's book.
Oh, wait, Danielle's our guest?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that was convenient. All right, well, let's take a break then. Adam.
Yeah.
We put a lot of long, hard hours here at the pod, right? In the Inside Studios. Mm-hmm. And after a long, hard day of podcasting, I like to go unwind at the gym. Sometimes that's hitting the weights. sometimes because I'm such a baller playing some b-ball with some guys, you know. And then after that, I like to get into the locker room, hit some good games with some of the dudes. Mm-hmm. And then you know what happens?
What?
They often notice my Inside podcast underwear.
Of course. What an amazing garment to exercise in.
Yeah, and some of the guys see, like, they only see the word inside, and they're like, hey, I'm not getting inside your underwear, bro.
I have that problem all the time.
But you know what? It's a perfect opener to talk about the podcast. Because I just say, like, no, you silly guy. That's not what these here underwear are all about. They're about my favorite podcast, The Inside with Jay and Adam.
Oh, clever.
Yeah. And next thing you know, they want to know all about the podcast, where they can listen, and where they can get their own pair of the Inside Podcast undies.
Yes, and you can too. Order yours today. Use the promo code INSIDE at onlymensundies.com/inside/Jay and Adam to get your promotional Inside underwear. Only available in XXX.
Well, hey Danielle, thanks for coming on. We're excited
excited to be here.
Woohoo!
We are too.
Yay!
We're really glad to have you on and talk to you because you have some great stuff to talk about.
Thank you.
And we want to get into your book in a little bit, but first we just want to talk to you a little bit so folks could get to know you. And
it's the get to know the author section.
Yeah, that. Just like us, we have heard and have talked about with you, like you're big into running and racing, and not just running, but so like some pretty long bike racing and stuff too. We just want to hear about some of your racing experiences.
Yeah, I've always been an endurance athlete. That's just kind of like where I hang my hat. And, you know, I love to do a lot of different things. You know, even when I was young, I would do volleyball and track and basketball and, you know, just all kinds of stuff. But honestly, I started long distance basically cycling when I was pretty young, actually. I was in high school and my dad was in his 40s. So he was like my age now. Oh, gosh. Dating myself.
Yay,
but,
40s.
Yeah, I know. Young 40s. But anyway, so my dad started racing on the bike. And so he had nobody to train with. And, you know, nobody else wanted to like go 50 miles or something on the bike. So, you know, of course, me, you know, not really that aware of what I'm agreeing to, say, oh, well, I'll do it, you know. So I just started doing these like long distance bike rides with my dad. And we'd always been cyclists, but then we started doing, you know, 50 miles or 80 miles or something really extensive. And I started getting really a lot into it as I was getting older. And I absolutely just, like I said, I mean, just kind of hang my hat on it. I love anything that sort of pushes me to my limit. And I was just talking about this with my fiance, but it's amazing to me. A lot of people don't like to be uncomfortable. And that's like really what this stuff is all about, is being able to tolerate being uncomfortable. And so this weekend I did a mud run, as you guys know. And I will tell you, you can train for those things all day, every day for months on end. But when you get down to it, it is a uncomfortable challenge. There is water, there is cold water, there is a lot of, you know, you use your body in ways that I don't even know that you can mimic. It's just unbelievable. I woke up, you know, or I went to bed, you know, a day and a half later and thought that literally a pile of bricks had fallen on me and I could not get them off. So
and you're still picking mud out of places too. I mean.
You do. You pick mud for days and you're just like, where did this come from and why?
Why is it here?
That is crazy.
It was unbelievable.
Well, Danielle, speaking of, you said going to the limit and being comfortable, like what's one of the most crazy experiences you've had while racing?
Like that time your teammate's head was decapitated,
and then you kicked it around like a soccer ball, something like that, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, going over fire, that was pretty intense.
What?
Yeah,
there
you gotta
was
jump over
there's
the
a couple
fire.
of races where you're going over fire and it's the last thing you do, and you're not really sure, like,
And that's
am
why
I
you're
gonna fall
kicking
into
your
this
teammate's
fire?
head down the road still.
Yeah, like, am I going to fall into this fire? Because right now I'm not, I'm not sure that I can even jump, an inch, let alone several feet over this fire. So yeah, that was pretty intense. Yeah, the fire is crazy.
She's just talked our 6 listeners into doing this,
Yeah. Come out to the fire jump.
But this leads into the next thing we're going to talk to you about your passion for health, because it's no secret that, like, you like to focus on a holistic approach, that includes like mental health, physical, spiritual, psychological well-being. Can you talk more about that and why that approach is really important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, my whole life has been really focused on what is the best possible health? What can you do? I think I'm just like really afraid of disease and defect. I mean, I think it just comes down to the fact that I'm afraid to get sick.
So you're not gonna come to our tuberculosis party next weekend?
Our cough-a-thon?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's like somebody cough on me. I was just always one of those people that was like, I do not want to get sick. I do not want to be unhealthy. I do not, I don't want to have a mental health condition. And, I think it was more out of fear than anything, but it just became part of me. And, now, I mean, it goes with, how I eat, how I, schedule my days and how spiritual I am. And it's like 100%. So, I take it from the moment I get up, I like to connect, pray, meditate, yoga, and do those things to really guide my life. Because otherwise I feel like I don't really know that I'm going in the right direction. I feel like I'm just sort of, throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But I mean, to me, that really doesn't give you a sense of purpose. It doesn't give you a sense of direction and truly feeling like at the end of your day that you've done what you should have done and that you've done something meaningful to move your life forward. And when I do that in the morning, it just sets everything up. To me, it's the only way that I feel like I've done what I should do. And so that's sort of like the beginning. And then the eating, it's just, I always feel like there's something to be said for not putting things in your body that will tear it apart. But then you have to do the other side. You have to put things in your body that will build it up, because, especially if you're doing things like what we're talking about, pushing your body to the brink and working out and being involved physically in your life. I mean, there's no other way to do it. Like, if you're not putting things in to rebuild your body, then you're not going to be able to do these things, and your brink is going to be a lot sooner than later.
And our friend, your friend too, Maurice, he stated it in one sentence, and he said, "Food is medicine."
Yeah,
and I love that.
It's either medicine or it's poison.
Yeah, or it's poisonous medicine.
Well, and food is the best medicine because it most of the time is not poison. You have to ingest a lot of spinach to make it poison.
True. Or everything is just mass produced.
Right.
Deep fried.
Exactly.
Oh, deep fried medicine.
Yeah.
Deep fried medicine, baby.
I love it.
How they are. I mean, it's. I think that a lot of people don't realize. It's not only how much you move. It's not only like if you don't put bad things in your body, but it's really if you're putting good things in your body.
You started out working as I would say as a youngster in community mental health, and with some of the most severe cases. What was that like? And what did you learn from that?
I loved what I did when I first started working in mental health. I have to tell you, it was probably the best job I've ever had, literally ever. I would tell anybody who wanted to be in mental health to do something similar, do something in crisis, do something where you see really the brink of humanity, people who were challenged in ways that you almost can't imagine outside of seeing it. But I always wanted to be in mental health. My father was in mental health, and I grew up with it. So my father basically built the mental health system where we lived. And I always would, I mean, it's crazy, but I would watch like the training videos he would bring home. And I know, like, who at 16 or 14 years old watches?
Give this kid some toys, quick.
Exactly. Hurry up.
You know, send her on a date. And, you know, our friend Mo, he worked at the same mental health clinic. And the first thing I ever did there was I volunteered for the psychosocial rehab. And these were the individuals who could go in the community and could, you know, learn to cook or learn to do some type of job, and could do those things. They were at a level where they were challenged in a lot of ways. I mean, they weren't going out to work like a corporate banking job, but they were, you know, functioning to the point where they could be independent and they could be on their own. And I found them really, really fascinating people. I mean, they're just absolutely, it's so intriguing. But then I wanted to work in the crisis center, and this place was mind blowing. Like, I don't know that you could even get away with this now. I mean, this was a few decades
Probably
ago,
not.
to be honest. So
whatever you're gonna say, probably not.
Yeah, no.
Probably couldn't get away.
It was
with
like the 90s or something, or yeah.
Yes, it was the 90s. It was a great
Yeah,
90s.
you know the 90s.
What's that? What's the 90s?
What were the 90s?
You could get away with
What
anything
doing
you
back
wanted
then?
in the 90s.
Yeah. So the folks in this area, they should have been in the hospital. Let's just be honest. They should have been in the hospital.
Yeah.
And most of them, were aggressive. Now, I'm not saying that everybody who has mental health issues is aggressive, but the folks that we worked with were. And a lot of times that's how they got to be with us, because they couldn't be in the community on their own because they were acting out or they were doing something that would cause them to not be able to be in their own apartment or home or family or whatnot.
Well, Danielle, before we started recording this, you talked to us about how you got your master's in psychology, but you've shifted into the nonprofit management world as your career now. So really briefly, why did you make the switch into nonprofit management? Really,
what it came down to is that in North Carolina, the funding, and this really goes to what we just talked about, the funding has changed so dramatically that you end up starting and stopping different community services. Because I went, you know, we didn't talk about this, but I went from being in the government and being in the prison system with mental health services to the community mental health services, which I felt, you know, I did a lot of time working in institutional settings, but I really wanted to be in the community because that's sort of where my home was, if you will. Like, that's where I started. That's what I love. That's what I feel really passionate about. So when I moved into community mental health, North Carolina has had some challenges in sort of figuring that piece out. And just like we just talked about, you know, deinstitutionalization happened, 4 or 5 decades ago, but in the 60s, but they still have really yet to figure it out. And so they keep changing the services that are there to support people and keep people healthy and in the community. Now, sometimes they say, oh, we've spent too much money on this, and so we're closing it down. And sometimes they say, oh, this isn't really working, so they close it down. So it was in a situation where I was constantly having to unfortunately lay people off or hire people for a whole new position or, you know, create a new service because this one they closed, so we have to do something else. So it was just this constant change and messing with people's lives like that. And not only, you know, your staff, which is bad enough, but then you're changing people's services who are receiving the services. And so I started doing more and more work. And at this, you know, point, I've traveled the country. I've worked with, you know, hundreds of organizations. I went sort of more into some fundraising elements, which allowed me to help organizations raise hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for their organizations, which, you know, obviously that does a lot of work. And then I ended up meeting people that I would have never otherwise met. I do run a nonprofit, it's Cape Fear Resource Conservation and Development. So I do all the sort of legwork for that. But I also still consult with a lot of organizations, and that makes me extremely, extremely happy. And I have met some people that I really otherwise would have never come across, and they have actually totally changed my life. In fact, the one group that I will always feel very connected to is Sky High for Kids. And I went out to Louisiana to do a fundraiser with them. And I was so impassioned by Brittany, their CEO, or maybe she's their executive director. She started the organization when she was 9 years old. That is unbelievable. I mean, her work has raised millions of dollars for St. Jude. They do all kinds of different galas and hunting experiences and all kinds of things to raise money. And they just did a Christmas drop for children. And she is...
Is that like where they drop kids out of the back of the plane or something?
No, they drop the toys out of the back of the plane onto the kids.
Toys.
Out of a plane? Like, look out, here comes a dump
Billy,
truck.
there's a dump bicycle in the head.
Santa drops toys out of the sleigh.
We're dropping kids out of the plane onto a pile of toys.
On bicycles. Kids on bikes.
That's
Just
right.
go out of the go.
Go 100 miles.
Sorry.
No,
We can't pass up a good joke.
Anyway, yeah. What were we talking about? The toy drop, right?
Yeah. But no, well, Sky High for Kids, they do so many things for these kids, and she is such a dynamic person. And if you've ever met somebody who just changed your life and changed the way you looked at things, this was a person that did that for me.
We can't tell how you feel about her.
Yeah.
But speaking of St. Jude's, you've written a children's book called Capris Adventures, and it's being used by St. Judes Hospital. And we think that's quite an accomplishment and amazing also. But could you tell us about the book and what made you decide to write this story down?
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, after I had met Brittany, I just kind of thought I need to get out of my own way, and I need to, start thinking about what I'm passionate about and what I really want to sort of leave as my legacies. And I love animals, as I sort of alluded to earlier. I mean, I don't think there's an animal on this planet that I don't love, even the creepy crawly one. But my cat she's always been sort of my soulmate. She has been the one consistent in my life for many years. And I got her when I probably needed her the most. And I saw her, and I literally could not leave the shelter without her. I went in there just thinking I was going to look and not get. And she looked at me with her paws crossed and her little attitude, and I couldn't leave her. Yeah. And I just, my heart and my soul, I started crying. I couldn't walk out of the shelter without her in my arms. I just couldn't imagine her being with somebody else. She had a lot of things happen early on. She was feral. She got taste aversion. We went through a lot of ups and downs with her, but she and I became closer and closer and closer to the point that I believe she is my soulmate. She's part of me. She's part of my heart. But then when she was 12 years old, and she got diagnosed with cancer, and it just rocked my world. And I remember the moment, finding out, and I was driving the car, and I can't even believe I continued to drive it because I probably couldn't see anything because I was crying so hard.
Yeah, and I bet that's crushing.
It's crushing. It's soul crushing. And I remember the vet asking me, "I'll let you decide what to do." And I was like, "There is no decision. We are going to fight it." And so we did. And it took her a long time to get diagnosed. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. And that's because she was so healthy. And we did chemo for 9 months with her. And it was not easy. And so she ended up in remission for a year and a half. And she just, that kitty kicked butt, man. She was crazy awesome. And when I started really thinking after, going to Sky High and realizing I needed to get out of my own way, and I started kicking around ideas, and my mom was like, "You have to write her story. You have to write her story." she's got the best story there is.
So this Capris Adventures is about kind of Capri and how she came into your life, and then all the experience you guys had through the journey of her treatment and her remission. And it's written kind of for children, right?
It's written for children. I always say it's written for children and families.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay, I like that.
Yeah, Jay and family.
Oh, sorry.
Jay and family.
I thought only kids could read this.
Yeah, but the great thing about it is that not only did she do so well during treatment, but we ended up traveling with her. And so the whole book is about us going to Christmas and going on vacation and her experience. It's all from her perspective. And it's all about, like, where am I going? What am I doing? Oh my gosh, there's Grandma and Grandpa. There's the Keys. There's, St. Augustine. And she's like so excited during this time.
Well, obviously I think there's a big connection here between the cat story and the kids, like the kids in St. Jude's, and how, like, I'm sure those kids can relate to Capri because they're nervous, and it's like a really friendly reminder, like a little animal that's helping them out through this process. And it's really cool that St. Jude's picked up the book. But what kind of feedback are you getting on this book?
Yeah, so just to be clear, Sky High has got the book, and they are giving it to kids at St. Jude.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not St. Jude itself. I would love to be connected with St. Jude directly, but Brittany is on the board of St. Jude. So that's the great news. But
so basically St. Jude's.
Basically every hospital in the country.
Every hospital in the country.
They should.
Honestly, the feedback I've gotten from people has been awesome. I've been very blown away by the fact that people have cried and have laughed, and that it has made people feel good and made people reach back out to me and say, I had no idea how this book would have, helped me. And I mean, it's just all the reviewers. I sent it out to, I think, almost 10 reviewers, some of which I knew, some of which I didn't know. And before I published it, and they all just really had the same sentiment, that they were blown away. And that makes me feel like I did the right thing. I did the right thing. I was supposed to write her story down, and it's helping people. And that's the entire purpose.
You said something the other day I thought was interesting. I wanted to ask you about what else goes into like getting a book published and into the market. There's stuff that people wouldn't know.
Right, like I'm sure you just write it down on a scrap paper while drinking coffee,
and then they like mail it off to some guy at Amazon, and then it's up.
That's it. It's done, right? That's all it is. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, next question.
Yep. Thank you.
Done and done. Yeah. The funniest thing is that like the writing portion is probably honestly the least challenging. It's you get it down, you have this draft. And then what do you do with it, And I think in this day and age, and I think podcasting is just like this, it's awesome that we can do this ourselves. It's 100% something that the world has never seen before. I mean, you can basically create the life you want no matter what. No matter if I want to do a podcast, no matter if I want to write, no matter if I want to do videos, all this kind of stuff is completely within your grasp. But the thing is that you have to do a lot of education. You have a lot of things that you have to learn yourself. You have to learn how to upload on a platform. You have to learn how to review it. You have to learn how to get reviewers. Yes. You have to learn, what are the platforms? How do people access information? How do people access an ebook? I mean, there's all these different organizations and methods of putting your work out there. But every single one requires educating yourself. You have to figure out how to make it something that people see and want to see and are motivated to get and read and basically tell other people about.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's the actual printing process is just as complicated too, right? Like figuring out how to get it printed and all this other stuff. It seems like the whole process is complicated, and like as you were saying those things, I was thinking about all the stuff that we discovered and are still discovering. Like when we first decided we wanted to do this show,
right?
There was so much learning.
Yeah, I still got to learn how to read. Like, I still got to get around to that. So once I get that done, I'd love to read your book, Danielle.
Absolutely.
He's lying. He read it. He read it.
I did read it. I did read it.
We did get the Kindle versions, but it sounds like it's available in a lot
Kindle.
of different.
It is available in Kindle.
And other print resources. I'd like to, at least for you to tell people where they can get it and what formats are available. And I think you're planning to do an audio version too.
I am. So it is available in paperback, hardback, and e-book. It's all available on Amazon. You can get it on some other platforms, but Amazon is honestly the easiest and the fastest. I highly recommend using their platform to order any books or getting the ebook or whatever works for you. I'm also going to be doing the audio version. It is going to be on Audible, which is Amazon driven as well. So it will all be available on that.
So you'll be recording in your voice for the Audible recording. Who's going to be doing Capri's voice?
That's a really good question. I always
who's going to do all the meowing?
Yeah.
Okay, we'd like to interview right now for that.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's funny because I always had a voice for her. That's so funny. But I also will say this, that I do a little bit of reading on my Instagram. And so I do plan on actually reading the entire book on Instagram piece by piece, just so people can hear it and sort of get a sense for it. Because I think it's really fun to like hear just like one page or 2 pages and get a sense for what the book is all about.
I really enjoyed reading it and could really see where children could resonate, with their own things that they're going through. If they're people who are in the hospital like that, or even if they had a family member or a friend or something like that, it seems really, like you said, it'd be useful and could provide hope through Capri's story. So really, Capri. A lot of times we don't know the meaning of something until it's like in retrospect, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was really
and I think that's a good point, Jay, because the story is really intended to reach families who have all different kinds of challenges going on. It's not necessarily just for children who have cancer. It could be that mom has a medical condition, or it could be that the family is just going through a really hard time, like maybe there's some financial difficulties, or they're moving, or anything that really challenges kids and families, and we all go through them, right? At some point, we're all going through something that challenges us as a family and as a person.
Right. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate you sharing all your life experiences and like your amazing story about the book and the process behind that. And we'll make sure to put all the book information in the show notes and stuff so people know exactly where to access all that.
Thank you. Yeah. I really have a great time with you guys. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been definitely a blessing for me, and I will never forget it.
Us too. You better not.
All right, we'll catch you later, Danielle.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
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 Well, Adam, I really enjoyed enjoying that. How did you enjoying it?
I enjoyed it, man.
Seriously, though, I like how she has taken something that was really hard and tragic for her and turned it into something that will help others, and their hard situations. I think a lot of times if we can look outside of ourselves and our situations they're an opportunity to help other people. And I also like hearing about how she likes to find balance between what she eats and exercise and spirituality, because it takes a lot of intentionality to really slow down and focus on what's important in all areas of our health. And most of the time we find ourselves kind of too busy to do that. So, and then really, I just like that she was just so fun and easy to talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure
that
it's always a handful whenever you and me get a hold of some victim. I mean, guest to come on the show with us. But I mean, talk about an inspiring story. I think it's just great. Like she mentioned, there's kids and families out there that can use this story. It's like a story of hope in these troubling times, and like she mentioned, and we did make fun of it a little bit, but I'm sure it was a lot of work, and it's terrific to see that it's paying off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you can buy that book on Amazon, by the way. I think we mentioned that, but
we did, and
it's worth a double mention.
Yeah, in all kinds of forms: hardback, paperback, Kindle. Coming to Audible soon.
Yeah, but you know what this means?
Well, what it means for me is I'm going to jump off here because there's a line forming outside of this room of people looking for promotional The Inside Podcast undies.
Well, while you do that, I'm going to close this out, all right?
All right, hang on, guys. I'll be there in a minute.
Alrighty, and that was The Inside. Again, you can purchase Danielle's book, Capris Adventures, on Amazon, and there's a link for that in the show notes. Special thanks to our guest, Danielle, and our producer, Dave. The show is written, recorded, edited, and co-produced by Jay and myself. Our title music, Crossroads, was written by Rock Sounds, and we'll have a link in the show description. Our title music was performed by Keith Richards. Do you know someone you think should be on The Inside? Send us an email with your suggestions. We'll have more episodes coming soon, so make sure to listen wherever you get your podcasts, and to follow us on Instagram at The Inside Podcasters, or shoot us an email at theinsidepodcasters@gmail.com.
And don't forget your Inside Podcast promotional underwear. Let me get my lips right.
I did the right thing. I was supposed to write her story down, and it's helping people. And that's the entire purpose